Welcome to the show, Dave. We've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been wow, I'm going to say many years since we wanted to do this.
Yeah, I know. We've been talking about it. So you're here now, and that's a good thing. You and I go way back. We'll talk a little bit. You have a radio show, and you and I met back in the my KPQ days and other things that we worked on together. But you are one of the founding sponsors of the Don't Wait Project.
That's right.
And I can't say enough thank yous for that to this day. It's been 13 years now.
I remember when you came to me with this brainchild of yours, and both you and I being cancer survivors. I'm like, yeah, I'd love to throw some seed money behind that. So it's
Yeah.
very grateful you launched that.
Well, I want people to understand too, when you have an idea and you're part of a community and you show up in your community, then your community likes to show up for you. And so going in with a one sheet and an idea was not, I think part of it, and you've, I'm sure, learned this in your field, in your work. Uh, if you aren't afraid of a no, then certainly anything is possible, and you cannot succeed without failing. So, of all the people I asked to contribute and help launch the Don't Wait Project, personal and businesses, only one said no. And I ended up taking my business elsewhere to a business that said yes, because I was frequenting that business for a long time, spending quite a bit of money in that field of whatever that was. I won't mention it. And so I think we do business with people who want to do business with us. And the Don't Wait Project is a business, but it's a nonprofit. And so I'm just grateful to the businesses, including yours, who supported it. So just a little advice to people out there who have an idea. If you want community support, you got to show up for community too. So, and you definitely do that. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your role in this community, your business, for people who don't know what you do. Of course, I said a little bit in the introduction, but from your point of view, you've been here a long time. You love it here, and this is your home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. 1998, moved up here with my family from Ellensburg, and I was with one company at the time and went independent in 2002. And things just kind of like took off in a great way. We did a lot of educational seminars with long-term care planning, safe money concepts, and then 2009 we went full-blown investment fiduciary firm. And yeah, I am proud to call Wenatchee home. Definitely doesn't blow like the wind in Ellensburg. I don't miss that, but yeah, the people have been great. We built a really thriving business here, one client at a time, and the radio show has helped. People know me when they drive down Mission Street.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I can't go anywhere now without people recognizing me, but yeah, it's been really good. I'm happy to call the Wenatchee Valley my home.
When you went out on your own in 2002, was that a scary decision? Was that something you thought about wanting to do for a long time? Was it the one thing you kind of wanted to do that you
Yeah,
wanted to see through?
I'd say the company I was with, I loved it there. I, cut my teeth and skinned my knees there and paid my dues. And I loved it, but it changed very much. And a lot of the veteran agents had left. And, I had some really good mentors that kind of helped me with that transition. I had a renewal commission base build up. I left it behind, started fresh again. But I had some really good teachers help set me up and a good work ethic. And I just kept on marketing. And that was the best decision I ever made, to kind of take the captive handcuffs off and be liberated and run my own business. So it's been good. And I will say this right now, I have the best team I've ever had. I've had some really great
Yeah.
employees and team members, but Julie moved to Thompson Falls, Montana, my executive assistant 2 years ago, and she works full-time remotely, creates all of our accounts, does a lot of the stuff. And then Keena joined me about a year ago, and then Ashley's been with me 3 years. And then, of course, the dogs, Coda and Maya. Those are the white golden retrievers that if you walk in the office, they're our chief comfort and greeter officers. So yeah, it's been good.
So let's talk about mentorship, because you mentioned having some mentors in your life. The ripple effect of that. So the mentors you've had, there are a couple that I've had. You knew Dan Conway, who ran Cherry Creek Radio, and I wouldn't have the Don't Wait Project. I wouldn't have this show. I wouldn't have much of the things I've accomplished in my personal life if it weren't for him. no doubt about it. So when you think about the mentors who've impacted you, um, what is it that you take from that you try to then be a mentor to others? That ripple effect of what you've
Sure.
received, you try to give.
Well, without naming names, I can tell you there was people in the insurance business that I would meet at conferences, and I would just observe them and just kind of watch them around people, other opposed to just, oh, they put up big numbers, and would go approach them and say, hey, can I buy you a Coke or something, and sit down and pick your brain. And then obviously my time in the military, 12 years in the Army Reserve, that taught me a lot of leadership skills, and the what we call mission first, people always. I've got a job to do as a financial advisor, as a planner. I'm here to take good to great, solve problems, fix things that are broken, create financial plans. But it's all done with the absolute compassion of what's best for the person sitting across from me. And that just takes the sales quote agenda off the table. As a person of faith, I want the Lord to look down on me and say, well done. You served that person. And someone told me really early on in my career, Dave, I believe you've got what it takes to really have a successful career in this. If you just treat people good, work hard, the money will come.
Mhm.
And that just never left me. And that's 29 years later, coming up on 30 in February.
Yeah.
That's happened. So that's been a good thing.
And when you think about the impact, when you think about community, so we talked at the very beginning about, you providing seed money for the Dotway Project.
Right.
In this community, what do you feel? Because I think sometimes people, I think it's really important to support the athletic teams and do the things that, are kind of the typical traditional things that businesses help out with. But sometimes it is fun to have something come across your desk that's a little different that you want to support.
Yeah.
And you are really great too about, inviting your clients to the Apple Sox game and doing the things that, you're very generous with how you treat your clients. But what about the community piece? So when you make a decision about support, what are you looking for in terms of the criteria of the people you want to do business with, but also the people that you want to support in a community way?
Well, there's several organizations. The Good Grief Center we've supported. We've done Children's Home Society. We're doing an event we'll talk about with Real Options, the Pregnancy Care Center, Lighthouse, Sword Wenatchee Valley, Veterans, Rotary, Alethea Writing Center.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things that people, and you don't need to give $1,000 to any of these,
Sure.
everyone, but sometimes they just appreciate $250, $500. And I'm like, yeah, all day long, you guys are out in the trenches doing that. And we're happy to support that. Even if it's like, yes, I fully believe in that. It's like, I believe in that you came to me and I love what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even if I'm never involved in it, I'll support you. So yeah, I'm one of those guys who I don't like the word give back. I just like the term give.
Right. Right.
So.
Yeah, that's good. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about, for the people watching, and we were talking off camera about inflation and just what is some good sound advice you can give to the people who are watching, who are in the position of making decisions about their financial plans and having that plan in place. So we'll be back in just a moment. We're talking with Dave Solomon. We are back talking with Dave Solomon of Solomon Financial. And off air, we were talking about inflation and how that's probably impacting some decision making for your clients and other people's clients. And I was asking you, what is the one piece of advice you would give to people who are watching, who are in that process of making those decisions, or maybe are even younger and trying to decide, where to even start? But most definitely, you deal with people who are a little further along in their retirement and helping be a fiduciary for them.
Yep. Well, you said two different things there, and they're very different. Younger people and those who we really have a concentration on from our marketing, which is those 5 to 10 years from retirement, or they're already retired. So those are two different animals.
Right.
Let me just take the first one really quick. Obviously, you mentioned inflation. People are like, Dave, I just have too much month at the end of the money. Things have gone up 15%. Everything's more expensive, from food to clothes to cars to mortgages. I get it. I see it. I track all that. And with the decay or decline of pensions, most people are on their own in their 401k, whatever, or their IRAs, whatever you invest in is in whatever, how much you put away and what you invest in is really going to be what you have, and hopefully to retire with no debt. So just for younger people, I would say this, and I'm just going to say, if you're, let's just go with 45 and under. If that's you, you need to try to put away some. You need to get into the habit. You want to keep your fees low. You don't need to hire me as a younger person. You don't need to hire any broker in this valley as a younger
Okay.
person. You literally could go to Fidelity, Vanguard, or Schwab, open up a Roth IRA, a regular IRA, or a brokerage account. Those are three different kinds, preferably a Roth IRA, because that's going to grow tax-free. And the simple way to do it is just buy the S&P 500 SPDR ETF or mutual fund. It's rock bottom, there's no cost, and just throw money at it. 100 every paycheck, then throw 150. And over time, let that compounded return, that, just work for you. That's the simplest way. Now, if you want to go down deeper, that's something people can reach out to me and I'm happy to talk to them. As far as older folks, you can't borrow for retirement like you can borrow for college or whatever. So we help people where, hey, how are you going to pull income from your accounts? Should you be more conservative now that you're 65 or 70 or not? How do you do some tax planning, Medicare, Social Security, long-term care, legacy planning? So it creates a whole slew of planning that as a fiduciary, we come alongside and say, let's look at all these areas and find out if you need help. Hey, you're doing great in these two areas. These areas, permission to be honest, because I think we can do better. So two different concepts, but as far as inflation goes, I know markets have been really crazy. It's an election year, kind of has people scared. I get it. I got rid of live TV about 8 years ago. I have much more peace. I just read the news now.
That's what I do. I take the news that I want to take. I don't let it
Right.
feed to me. I don't do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of my advice. I would really watch your peace and your bandwidth when it comes to watching lots of television and whatnot. But those are the two things that, keep investing, put money away. Don't dart in and out of the market, and try to watch your fees. Make sure you're not paying too much.
Yeah. That's good advice. And so the clients that you work with, like you said, they're getting close to retirement. And, when you said earlier, let's do this, but then this could be better. Um, by the time some of the people come to you, they're kind of, they got what they got, right?
Okay.
Maybe you catch them a little sooner than that. So I guess it's just a different bit of advice than the young people you're talking about. Now you got to look at, okay, what's realistic now? I mean, the years are done. You did what you did. You did the best you could, hopefully. And so how do you do that with clients who really have a gap somewhere else? And really, what can you do about that at this point?
Well, let's say they're older. Let's say a couple comes and they're 64. They want to retire next year, and maybe they still owe 150,000 on their home, and they need to work maybe another year or two because they shouldn't take Social Security next year. That's the advice where I have to come in and say, I have to look at their whole life, their debt, their income, what potential inheritances they have coming in, where their income's going to come from, and just kind of guide them through that. And they appreciate that, because I don't work for a big firm that's telling me what to sell or how much to sell. That's
Mhm.
the beauty of owning my own business. Now, we're a fiduciary. You might say, well, I had a guy ask
Well,
me,
let's explain what that is. Some people don't know what a
yeah.
fiduciary is.
So fiduciary is I'm legally obligated to act in your behalf as a fee-based advisor. We don't make commissions on investments whatsoever. So if I get audited by the SEC, I have to defend what I put you in. That's not just, oh, it's okay. It's an okay mutual fund. I have to say this was more than suitable for this client, and here's all the notes on our CRM about why I picked this. It's like I have to defend that's a right, suitable account for people. Where you could work for a company, and as long as it's okay, but it might not be in the client's best interest. To your point, client comes to me last week and they had about 700,000, and he says, hey, I heard this type of account, and I won't mention it. Wasn't all good. I was reading about it. I said, do you own one? He goes, I own 3. And I said, did you bring a statement? He showed me, and I said, okay, the company you have is good, but are you aware of the fees in that? And he goes, not really. We called the company and his fees were 2.95% per year. And I said, that's the problem with that investment. Do you know if you moved your money to me or went to something any different, you could lower your fees by 75% and still have the same type of an account and same performance, if not better? And he goes, I had no idea. Why do I have that? And I said, truth be told, he goes, yes.
Somebody was making 2.95%.
Commission up front.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's why I asked people to come in on the radio show just to get a second opinion, or the seminar. I said, you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And my promise is, if you have something that's good, I'm going to say, great job, right on, second opinion's good, nice meeting you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's like, oh my gosh, like these people, he said he was reluctant to set a meeting at the seminar with my assistant. He goes, I think I'm good. And Ashley's like, well, would you like a second meeting? And he looked at his wife. He goes, it couldn't hurt. Now he's coming back for a second meeting, and he's probably going to get out of those high fee stuff and work with us.
Yeah.
So we don't know, but that's what people can have with like, well, I'm done working, but you might not have the right stuff for what you want in retirement.
Okay. Yeah. Well, before we go on to the next segment, tell us the name of your talk show, the Real Radio Show, and how people can listen.
Yeah. Retiring Well with Dave Solomon. It's on KPQ, 560 AM, 8 o'clock. And I think they do a replay at 1 as well on Saturday on KPQ. Then we're also on KOZI up in Lake Chelan at 8 a.m. as well. And you can tune in. Mark Elliott is my co-host. We have a lot of fun on that show and go back and forth, and we talk golf and cars. He always makes fun of me because I'm a Ford guy, and I tell him it's a Shelby, it's not a Ford. He has a Porsche, but anyway, so we have a lot of fun, and I think there's some really good content on there.
Yeah. Well, good. So you can listen to it on Saturdays. Tell me again the time.
8 a.m., 560. The other thing you could do is you could go to our website at SolomonFG, as in financialgroup.com, and you can click on media, and you can listen to past shows on there as well.
Okay. And I'll put your information is going to be on the bottom throughout the whole show. So let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about the event coming up that you're here to help promote and bring awareness to. We'll be back in just a moment. We are finishing up with Dave Solomon. We want to talk about the event coming up, Real Options. Tim Tebow's coming to town to give a talk at the Town Toyota Center, and you're here to talk about that with us today. So tell us, for people who don't know anything about him coming or anything about the talk he's given, tell us his connection to the organization and why he's coming to town.
So Real Options is an organization in town that really comes alongside women, young girls who find themselves in a unwanted, unexpected pregnancy, and they want to come alongside them, give them healthcare, ultrasound, support, and care for them and their unborn child. Whether that's they carry the child to term and keep it, or they give it up for adoption. So when I was approached about being a sponsor with this event, I thought, I think I can get behind this. So the story with why Tim Tebow, is he a football player?
Right.
Really good one. But the story is Tim's parents were missionaries in the Philippines, and they were pregnant with Tim, the sixth child. And the dad had a vision that they would have a son, call him Timothy, and he would be an evangelist. But Tim's mother's doctor said, you need to have an abortion. This is a high risk pregnancy. You're going to lose this child and you might even die. And they said, no, we're going to choose life on this one. And Tim was born 100% healthy, and obviously went on to be a football player, and he's involved in great causes, such as really just having people find their purpose. So his book right now is called Mission Possible. There's lots of resources out there, but he's also very involved, and he testified before Congress this year about child sex trafficking. Lisa, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you haven't seen that movie, the listeners, go see it. It's about a CIA agent that said, look, we've identified these kids, but how many are we rescuing? And he basically goes rogue and rescues some kids. It's really moving. And a lot of it's taking place in Colombia, and I'm Colombian. So why did Dave get behind this? My mother at the age of 24 was very much in love with the man. They were intimate twice. She got pregnant. He said, don't want the baby. Go get an abortion. She's like, what? We're not going to get married? Nope. So she decided to come to Seattle and in secret from the family and the church and everything, stay with her sister. No one knew. I was born December 9th, 1965. Um, put in, adopted by a wonderful family 2 days later, grew up on a farm in Olympia. My dad died of Lou Gehrig's disease when I was 20, my mom of bone cancer when I was 33. I always knew I was adopted, always knew. And, but loved like I wasn't, so to speak. And 2 years after my mom died, I searched and found my biological family, Beatriz Botero. She was living in Colombia. We met in 2002. And I have a huge, amazing, wonderful family in Medellin, Colombia. So the story behind that is my mom chose life in a very difficult situation. So did Tim's mom. And we want to support financially and get behind this. So we are the presenting sponsor at the Town Toyota Center, 6:30 Friday, May 17th. There's still about 130 tickets left that are $100 a piece. You can get a table for 800, or there's VIP. Being the presenting sponsor, I actually get to greet Tim as he gets out of the car at the dock and sit right next to him at the head table and get up on stage. And they're going to show a promo video that I made about me and why we're doing it, like 4 minutes. And then I get to invite Tim up and kind of be a little starstruck here.
You look like it already. Yeah.
He's a great guy. He's a man of faith, and he's just doing so much for people and kids through his foundation. So you can go to, I think the website is Tim Tebow, just Google Tim Tebow Wenatchee Mission Possible, and it can come up and you can buy tickets there. But it's going to be a great night. It's such a great honor because of my story and just supporting what they do.
It's a good fit. It's a good fit.
Yeah, it's a really good fit. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you sharing all that you've shared today. I'm glad you finally got to come on the show. And we got to chat about all kinds of things. I think we could probably stay chatting for another half an hour, but this is only a half an hour show. So
set another one and go all different kinds of ways and what.
Sure, that'd be great. Well, thanks again for being here. Thanks for all that you do in our community and all the support you've given to me directly through the Don't Wait Project. And yes, forever grateful. Thanks so much, Dave.